By now, you've picked your starting point. You've built a small routine around it. You even understand why motivation was never going to save you. So why do you still feel like you're one bad week away from quitting? Two things are usually standing between you and someone who's been consistent for years. The first is that you haven't learned how to survive the boring middle. The second is that your own mind keeps talking you out of the very actions you already decided to take. Today we're covering both, back to back, because they're actually the same enemy wearing two different masks. This is Build Yourself, episodes 5 and 6 combined. How to stay consistent and how to stop overthinking. Every routine you've ever built goes through 3 stages. Stage 1 is excitement, the first week or two, where everything feels new and the small wins still feel exciting. Stage 3 is identity, the point, usually months in, where the habit has become so automatic it barely requires thought at all. But stage 2 is where almost everyone quits. We call it the boring middle. It's the stretch where the novelty has worn off completely, but the identity hasn't formed yet. You're not excited anymore, and you're not automatic yet either. You're just doing it, day after day, with nothing but the doing itself to show for it. This is the single most under-discussed part of consistency. Nobody warns you about the boring middle, so when you hit it, you assume something's wrong, that you've lost interest, that this isn't the right habit after all. In reality, hitting the boring middle isn't a sign of failure, it's a sign you're doing it correctly. Everyone who's ever built a lasting habit walked through this exact same flat, uninteresting stretch. Think about learning to drive. The first lesson is thrilling. Every movement feels significant. Every small success feels like a victory. By lesson 20, you're not thrilled anymore. You're just driving. It's boring, ordinary. And that boredom is exactly the sign that the skill is becoming part of you. Now picture someone building a habit. Let's say daily writing. Week 1, exciting. They're proud of every sentence. Week 5, it's just typing. No rush, no pride, nothing particularly noteworthy happening. Most people quit right here, in week 5, because they mistake boring for not working. But the person who keeps going through week 5, 6, 7, without needing it to feel exciting again, is the one who eventually arrives at week 20, where writing has become something they simply are, not something they have to convince themselves to do. The boring middle isn't the obstacle blocking identity. It is the process of identity forming. There is no shortcut around it, only through it. So how do you actually survive the boring middle without quitting? You use what we'll call an anchor, a small external reminder of why you started, placed somewhere you'll see it during exactly the moments you're most likely to quit. This could be a single sentence taped to your mirror, describing the person you're becoming, not the task you're doing. It could be a note on your phone's lock screen. It could be as simple as looking at your streak calendar from episode 3 and realizing you're not willing to break something you've already built. The anchor doesn't need to be motivating in an exciting way. Remember, we're not chasing excitement anymore. It just needs to interrupt the automatic thought of, "I'll skip today," long enough for you to choose differently. That interruption, repeated enough times through the boring middle, is often the entire difference between the people who make it to identity and the people who quietly stop in week 5 and never quite understand why. Here's the thing about the boring middle we just talked about. It creates the perfect conditions for a second problem to sneak in. When the excitement is gone and the identity hasn't formed yet, your mind has a lot of quiet space left over. And that quiet space rarely stays empty. It fills up with something else entirely: overthinking. So let's talk about the thing that's probably been running in the background of everything we've covered so far. The voice in your head that questions every decision before you've even had the chance to act on it. Overthinking feels like careful thinking. That's exactly why it's so hard to catch. It disguises itself as diligence, as being responsible, as just making sure. But real thinking moves toward a decision. Overthinking moves in circles around one. Here's the actual mechanism. Overthinking is your brain trying to eliminate risk completely before allowing you to act. Which sounds reasonable, except for one problem. Risk can't be eliminated completely. Not for any decision that actually matters. So a brain that demands total certainty before movement is a brain that has quietly guaranteed you'll never move at all. This is why you can spend 3 hours thinking through a decision that a stranger with less information than you could make in 30 seconds. It was never really about gathering more information. Past a certain point, more thinking doesn't produce more clarity. It just produces more anxiety dressed up as thoroughness. Pick someone trying to decide whether to send an important email. They draft it. They read it again. They change a sentence. They imagine 10 different ways the recipient might misread a single word. They close the laptop, walk away, come back an hour later, and read it again, for the 15th time. Nothing about the email itself has changed in that hour. What's changed is that an hour of their life disappeared into a loop that produced 0 new information and 0 forward motion. If you ask them what they were doing, they'd probably say, being careful. What they were actually doing was avoiding the small discomfort of clicking send and finding out what happens next. Now picture the alternate version of that same person. They write the email once, read it one time for genuine, obvious errors, and send it within 10 minutes. Is there a chance it could have been slightly better with another hour of edits? Maybe, but that marginal improvement almost never matches the cost of the hour spent, or the deeper cost, reinforcing once again that action requires perfect certainty first. That belief is the real thing being strengthened every time overthinking wins. Here's a tool that directly interrupts the overthinking loop, and it works precisely because it removes the thing overthinking depends on: unlimited time. For any decision that isn't permanent or high stakes, which, if you're honest, is the overwhelming majority of the decisions you overthink, give yourself 5 minutes. Set an actual timer. Write down the 2 or 3 real options. Pick the one that feels most aligned with the direction you're already trying to go. When the timer ends, you act on it. No extension. No, just 5 more minutes to be sure. This feels uncomfortable at first because overthinking has convinced you that more time equals a better decision. But most of the decisions overthinking targets are reversible. You can send a follow-up message, adjust a plan, correct course later. The 5-minute rule isn't about making the objectively perfect choice. It's about breaking the pattern that tells your brain it's allowed to stall indefinitely before every single decision, big or small. The real skill isn't deciding perfectly. It's deciding quickly enough that you get real-world feedback instead of imagined feedback. Because imagined feedback, the kind you generate while overthinking alone in your head, is almost always worse and less accurate than what actually happens when you simply act. Notice something about everything we've covered today. The boring middle creates space for doubt to grow. Overthinking fills that space with imagined risk and imagined outcomes. And both of them lead to the exact same result: you standing still, at the exact moment consistency needed you to keep moving. The anchor technique interrupts quitting during the boring middle. The 5-minute rule interrupts overthinking before it stalls a decision. Different tools, same underlying job. Get you moving again before your mind convinces you that standing still is somehow safer. It never is. Standing still just feels safer because it avoids the small, immediate discomfort of a boring day or an uncertain decision. But it trades that small discomfort for a much larger one later. The quiet accumulation of everything you didn't do, sitting there, waiting for you eventually, whether you look at it or not. So here's what to actually carry forward from today. When you hit the boring middle of your routine, and you will, probably sooner than you'd expect, recognize it for what it is. Proof you're doing it right, not a sign to quit. Place a small anchor somewhere visible, reminding you of the person you're becoming, not just the task in front of you. And when you catch yourself circling the same decision for the 5th, 10th, 15th time, set a 5-minute timer. Pick from your real options. Act when the timer ends. Let the world give you feedback instead of your imagination. Neither of these tools require you to feel brave or certain. They just require you to interrupt the loop once, right when it starts. The boring middle and the overthinking loop are the 2 quietest habit killers in this entire series, precisely because neither of them feels dramatic while they're happening. No crisis, no clear failure, Just a slow fade that looks, from the outside, like nothing happened at all. Now you can name both of them the moment they show up. That alone changes how much power they have over you. Next time, we move into something completely different. No longer about how you show up, but about what you're actually building while you do. The first real skill worth learning, and the one habit that, once it clicks, tends to change everything else around it. If today helped you catch either of these patterns in yourself, subscribe. We're getting close to finishing the foundation of this entire series. I'll see you in the next one. Let's get there together.